All right, so what if I told you that there was one food item that in a recent clinical trial they fed to men who had contained prostate cancer, and they gave it to them every week for a year straight? And when they did their biopsies after that year, so at the end of the 12 months, the cancer had not progressed, some guys, and in some cases, it went away altogether. You would say, Doctor, what is this food? Can I have it? Where's it at? Right? Well, if I told you that story and you believed it, then you would have to believe in the power of the food, right? Well, at least maybe. So let's kind of get into it and talk about it. Now, one thing about it, as a gentleman, if you live long enough, you live into your 90s, you live into your 80s, most men will have some level of cancerous cells that actually develop within the prostate. Now, the prostate is a small yet very important gland that sits at the base of the penis, and it sits behind the urethra. And in some cases, actually kind of wraps around the urethra. Right? So the importance of this walnut-sized gland is minimized every single day. And in my opinion, and if you've read the Prostate Revolution, you'll notice that the prostate is very much minimized. And in my opinion, it is air traffic control for male reproductive function. When the prostate is sick, the erections are sick. And an estimated 1.4 million new cases of prostate cancer are diagnosed every year worldwide, and 375,000 men each year die from prostate cancer. So this is a big deal. Now, plants have been studied for years to understand their numerous anti-cancerous properties. There have even been a variety of plants that have shown promise in their ability to help prevent and reverse prostate cancer. And the top food that you absolutely should eat if you have prostate cancer, it's green, it's tree-like, it's cruciferous, and it's got that pungent egg-like odor that kind of lights up the sky when it's growing in the fields. You know, if you live close to one of these fields, you know what I mean. And in the house that you're cooking in it, the kids are running. They're like, ah, it is without a doubt. Let me put it up on the screen here. It's broccoli. And that smell when you're cooking it, that smell when you try to bring it to your lunch and it just floods the air and everyone's like, what's that smell? That smell is sulfa. And it's actually the component of broccoli that makes it so darn special, believe it or not, particularly when it comes to prostate cancer. So numerous recent studies have shown that sulforaphane, the active component of broccoli, well, one of them, can prevent the development of cancer cells and help initiate a very important cellular process called apoptosis. Now, apoptosis is a cellular version of cancer cleanup on aisle 9. The cancer cells receive messages telling them to die. And when apoptosis is turned off or doesn't happen quick enough, those cancer cells can replicate and they spread. So sulforaphane is a powerful compound that's found in broccoli and also in other cruciferous vegetables in the brassica genus, like kale, cabbage, cauliflower, and my favorite, Brussels sprouts. Sulforaphane is actually powerful for a variety of reasons, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let me first show you what broccoli does once you start eating it in terms of prostate cancer. So let me put this up on the screen. So this figure is taken from the journal article called Sulforaphane and its Protective Role in Prostate Cancer, a mechanistic approach, which was published in April of 2023. So just to summarize, once you take some broccoli and you cook it or you're just eating it, the vegetable is chewed and eaten, and then it goes down and it is converted in the gut to sulforaphane. And in order to get converted into sulforaphane, it actually needs to be activated by those gut bacteria that we talk so much about, right? The microbiome. So this is an important part of the process. So the active component in broccoli is converted into sulforaphane within the gut. That sulforaphane is absorbed and imported into the bloodstream, and voila. And as you can see in this picture, this particular article talks about how that sulforaphane actually ends up in the prostate even within 4 hours of having taken it. Right. So, and in this picture, as you'll see, that actually what's happening is that sulforaphane is actually encapsulating and almost kind of protecting that prostate from having those cells spread out anymore. Right. So, but broccoli has more to offer than just that. And I think that's what makes it so special. And that's why it is the number one thing that you should actually be eating when you're diagnosed with prostate cancer. And because we got a couple things going on with broccoli. So the fiber from the broccoli feeds the gut bacteria, so it acts as a prebiotic, keeps the gut bacteria happy, and then it's rich in folate, vitamin K, magnesium, zinc, and manganese, all which are really important when it comes to prostate health, and of course polyphenols. Now the other thing that makes cruciferous vegetables so darn healthy it is the fact that it helps with something called phase 2 detoxification. Now, sulforaphane goes through the liver, and once it gets through the liver, it literally switches on about 200 genes that help with phase 2 detoxification. So phase 2 detoxification, think about it like this. Everything that goes in the body, that's produced in the body or is toxic to the body, needs to be removed. And the liver is a big part of that. So with phase 2 detoxification, phase 1 is kind of like breaking it down, getting it ready to be removed. Phase 2 detoxification takes the product and makes sure that it gets out of our system. Sulforaphane and sulfa from these cruciferous vegetables is important in part in this process. So it helps remove xenobiotics, carcinogens, and other things that need to be removed from the body. It also turns on that genetic switch to turn on antioxidant defenses. And as we mentioned, it actually can help modulate that apoptosis process, that cell death that we want when those cancerous cells pop up. They pop up. It's normal part for them to pop up. But the body is supposed to help get rid of those cancerous cells, and apoptosis is part of that process. Another thing that sulforaphane does is it helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels and cholesterol. So here we have one vegetable that can actually do all of those things. So why wouldn't you integrate it into your process, right? So in terms of prostate cancer, the thought is that the prostate gland is actually protected by sulforaphane. And it almost appears to provide kind of like a force field. And in the lab and clinically, it almost seems to be preventing the growth of cancer clones and seems to reduce the expression of cancer-causing genes. Wow. Now, I know I first learned about the power of broccoli as it pertains particularly to prostate cancer, listening to a lecture from the Professor Richard Mithen. Now, he was also involved in a study they took a group of guys who had prostate cancer, and they calculated how much cruciferous vegetables they had each day as it correlated with prostate cancer and whether or not it developed. So they took these guys that they knew had prostate cancer. Then what they did is they actually measured the amount of cruciferous vegetables that these guys were eating. And what they found is the guys who had about a portion of broccoli a day, it's 80 grams, a week, which is a lot, they actually found that they reduced their relative risk of developing a more aggressive form of prostate cancer. And for that prostate cancer to spread, they decreased their relative risk by about 60%, which is huge. But I know you're thinking, well, gee, who can eat that much broccoli? Why should you eat that much broccoli? But it just speaks in volumes about how important this particular vegetable can be. Then the Prostate Cancer Foundation actually funded a study where they recruited early stage prostate cancer gents, and they had the guys eat broccoli soup. So they had 3 different groups of guys and 3 different types of broccoli soup. One of the broccoli soups that they were eating each week was just the kind from the grocery store, which is just regular old broccoli, and made into a soup, and they ate that once a week. Then they had another one that took the active ingredient in broccoli, which is thought to create sulforaphane in the gut, which is called gluforaphanin. And they took a third group of guys and gave them a soup that was super high in glucoraphanin. So we had the regular broccoli soup from the grocery store. We had one that was three times the level of normal glucoraphanin. And then we had one in the third group that had 7 times the normal level of glucoraphanin. So they were using a variety of broccoli that had been genetically kind of altered so that they can have high levels of glucoraphanin. These guys ate this broccoli soup every week for a year. And so when they came back a year later, they did a second biopsy on the guy. So they did the first biopsy before they started the broccoli soup regimen. Then they did a second biopsy a year after doing the broccoli soup regimen. Now, this is just broccoli soup once a week. And what they found is that in the group that had the broccoli soup with amped up levels of glucoraphanin in it, those guys had no signs of prostate cancer. The other 2 groups, the ones that had, 3 times the level of glucoraphanin in it, they actually had contained and kind of a contained version of prostate cancer. And the ones who just ate regular old broccoli soup once a week for a year, their prostate cancer stayed about the same and in some instances spread. The amazing part about this study is that they isolated and created a form of broccoli that has amped up levels of glucoraphanin so that you can create higher levels of sulforaphane so that you can potentially have these amazing results when it comes to prostate cancer. Now, do we have this amped up version of broccoli in our local supermarkets? No, we don't. But I think the coolest part about this study that it makes really clear is that broccoli is beneficial in so many levels, in so many ways, and particularly when it comes to prostate cancer. So, of course, more work needs to be done. There's no magic pill for prostate cancer. There's no magic vegetable for prostate cancer. But if you add a little bit of broccoli, cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, and then you take it one step further, add tomatoes with lycopene, add fresh fruit, add oily fish to your diet, cut back on the processed foods, avoid foods that you're allergic to, watch the amount of meat that you take in and improve the quality of meat as well, and move more. And you'd be amazed at what impact those little changes can have in this big thing called prostate cancer. So if you want to know more about the dietary changes that you can make if you have the diagnosis of prostate cancer, I actually suggest that you check out the Prostate Cancer Federation. And they have a really great webinar there. Head over to pcf.org, the Prostate Cancer Foundation.org, and check out one of their webinars, particularly the one that has to do with nutrition as it relates to prostate cancer. Because listen, you are what you eat, and what you eat impacts everything. So subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone that you know needs it, that you love, and I'll see you next time. Live free and go hard.